how to influence other people, and, believe it or not, the universe itself. All right, welcome to the very first episode of the FMS Podcast, the forbidden marketing secrets that they don't want you to know about. My name's Nathan Frazier, internet marketer with face tattoos, and today we're going to be talking about influence. And as a digital marketer, as an internet marketer, my entire life right now is about influence, but I'm going to say going back even to when I was a little kid, my life was all about influence, because I got bullied as a little kid and I didn't like being bullied as a little kid, and not wanting to be bullied, but also not wanting to be a bully, and wanting to learn how to influence, how to lead, how to push people in the way that I wanted them to go without having to bully them myself. And later on, as I grew older and started studying the media and studying propaganda and how propaganda worked, and realizing that, wow, there's a lot of manipulation that goes on in the world. And then, of course, getting into internet marketing and digital marketing and realizing, wow, there's a lot of manipulation that goes on in the world of marketing, and not really being a fan of manipulation, but wanting to understand better, what is this term influence? What is influence? How can I have influence? How does influence affect the world around me? And I'm going to start off by kind of defining the difference between influence and persuasion and manipulation. I feel like persuasion is when you trick somebody or you push somebody into doing something that they'll probably enjoy, they probably won't hate you for, whereas manipulation is when you trick somebody into doing something they'll later regret. Persuasion is when you trick them into doing something that they'll later rejoice over. And the difference between those two and influence is that where manipulation and persuasion are kind of like pushing people in the direction that you want them to go, influence is more like a pull. It's a force of gravity. It's pulling people in the direction that you want them to go instead of pushing people in the direction that you want them to go. And when it comes to people, influence is pretty easy to master. When it comes to the universe itself and the effects going on in your life, influence might be a little bit more difficult. We're going to cover both aspects in this week's episode. But the point of all of this is to get to a point where your will becomes gravitational, where you become gravitational, where what you want to happen becomes a gravitational force and pulls people in the direction, pulls circumstances and instances in the direction that you want them to go, where you are a force of influence, a force of gravity. Now, to start off, people are easy to influence. And so that's where we're going to start, is with human beings, because the fact of the matter is most people are just waiting. They're just sitting around waiting to be led. And it makes influencing them pretty easy, if we're being completely honest. All it takes to influence most people is simply to know where you want them to go, but first meet them where they are. So first, finding the overlap in your maps and then slowly nudging them in the direction that you want them to end up. It's a lot about finding resonance, finding harmony, and harmonizing with them, resonating with them, and then slowly pulling them the direction that you want them to go. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, they have something called pace and lead, and this is where you mirror or you adopt the behaviors of somebody that you're trying to influence. You make them feel comfortable with you by showing them that you're the same as them, and then you pull them in the direction that you want them to go. So you pace, you match their pace, and then you start to lead. And mainstream media does this all the time, especially the more divisive mainstream media, where they're targeting a specific market, and they say, hey, you're the good guys. We have your same values. We're all about the stuff that you are. And then they pull them in the direction that they want them to go. So they pace. They say, hey, we're just like you. We have your same values. They tell you what you want to hear, and then they tell you what they want you to hear. So they pace, and then they lead. They find resonance. They find harmony with their audience, and then they pull their audience in the direction that they want their audience to go. Stephen Covey wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said it in his book. One of the habits was seek first to understand, then to be understood. So you find harmony, you find resonance with your audience, and then you try to get them to see things your way. You first seek to understand them, then you seek to have them understand you. And the way that I see this is like a bucket of water, and you want this bucket of water, you want to create a whirlpool inside the bucket of water. But if you just splash your hand down into the bucket of water, you're going to make a big mess. Water's going to go everywhere, and it's going to blow up in your face. But if you calmly put your hand into the bucket of water, you match the calmness of the water and slowly start moving your hand around in a circle, the water will follow the pace of your hand, and you can start going faster and faster and faster, and eventually you'll have a whirlpool inside the bucket of water that didn't end up with the water splashing out and going all over the place. So if you try to just forcefully push your way in and get your will done, it's probably going to blow up in your face. But if you can match the pace where the water's already at and then slowly pull it in the direction that you want it to go, you're much more likely to get the whirlpool that you're after. So with people, just like with the water, find harmony, find resonance, and then slowly pull them in the way that you want them to go. Subtly at first, and then more and more forcefully as you have more and more influence over them. But if you get too forceful, you're going to end up with water splashing out all over the outside of the bucket, and you're going to end up with a big mess on your hands. So be careful. Now, with influencing reality, and this is going to be the more woo side of the conversation, but when it comes to influencing your reality, it's very much the same thing. It's finding harmony and finding resonance with where you're at, and then deciding where it is that you want to go and pushing towards that direction or pulling towards that direction. So you find harmony with where you are, and then you decide where it is that you want to be, but you don't think about it as this is where I want to be or this is where I'm heading. You think of it as this is where I am, this is who I am, this is what I have, and I'm just waiting for the universe, for the outer world to catch up. So again, finding resonance with what is, and then slowly pulling to where you want things to be. Not from a place of what I want or what I'm hoping for or what I wish was, but more from a place of faith, from a place of belief, from a place of assuming the wish fulfilled, from a place of this is what's meant to be, and I just need to pull reality in this direction. Now, that doesn't mean it happens without effort. This isn't like The Secret or anything like that. I'm kind of 50-50 on The Secret. I think there's some truth to it, but I think it's half truth. I don't think they explain the whole thing in The Secret. What it means is as reality starts to feel your influence, clues, coincidences, and insights will start to appear. Your path will start to be illuminated, will start to be cleared for you. When the student is ready, the master will appear. So you have to accept where you're at, but you have to also accept that that is only at this particular point in time. And it's okay for this particular point in time to be where you're at, but where you're supposed to be, where your journey is leading you, you need to understand that you are also there and you're just waiting for reality to catch up. Because where you're at right now is merely a step in the journey to get where you're supposed to be. Again, pace and then lead, harmonize and then pull, understand and then be understood, influence. And it works with your own mind as well. We all operate off of subconscious programs and influences that we don't even realize are there. Most of our life, most of our circumstances are a result of these scripts that we have running in the background. So why not take control, or why not have an active role in writing those scripts for yourself? And once you've mastered the ability to influence yourself, once you've mastered the ability to take control of your own emotions and not let circumstances knock you off of balance, once you've become a master of your own influence over yourself, it becomes a lot easier to exercise influence over others around you and the world around you. After all, if you can influence yourself and if you can influence others, why is it a stretch to believe that you can influence the universe with the same approach? For me, it's undeniable. My thoughts and my beliefs, whether they're good or they're bad, they tend to manifest in real life. And when I'm not careful about the things that I predict, I end up hating it because I end up having to say, I told you so. And usually, especially for like political stuff, it's I told you so to some stuff that I wish I would have been wrong about. So now I try to make predictions about things getting better in areas where I think things are going to get better, instead of focusing on predictions where I think things are going to get worse. But you might catch me doing that once in a while as well. For me now, trying to take a more conscious role in my own reality, it's all about finding harmony with what is, but knowing what I want and living as if what I want has already come true. And focusing more of my energy on what I want rather than obsessing about all of the stuff that I don't want to come true in the world. So again, be clear with yourself about what it is that you want and assume the wish fulfilled. Don't force it, have faith, and let the path reveal itself, and then move in alignment with where you want to see yourself going. And for most of my life, especially when it comes to my career and my path as a business owner and as a marketer, I've been doing this without really understanding that there was some esoteric teachings behind it. I just kind of was feeling my way through it and having success. It was just something that I discovered would work for me back when I was in my late teens, early 20s. But recently, I've been going down this rabbit hole of consciousness and influence over the universe, and I've started finding a bunch of other people who have clearly defined these principles and rules that I was kind of just accidentally following. And now that I'm finding these works from other people that have more clearly defined what it is that I was kind of intuitively doing, I wanted to bring some of that to you. I wanted to pass along what I've put to work in my own life, and hopefully it can bring some value to yours. So if you found this valuable, subscribe to the FMS Mastermind podcast on your favorite video platform or your favorite podcasting app, and head on over to fmsmastermind.com to find more. My name's Nathan Frazier. I'm the internet marketer with face tattoos, and I'm out of here. Deuces. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you always catch the content we create for you in the future.